If you've been scrolling through endless listings, comparing specs, and still can't tell whether a pre-built gaming rig is worth the hassle, this review is meant to cut through the noise. I've spent the last couple of weeks actually setting up the NOVATECH Titan, running a mix of demanding titles and a few work-related workloads, just to see where it lives in the crowded mid-range market. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the big question most people have is, do I need a pre-built, or should I build my own? The Titan tries to strike a balance between convenience and performance. It ships with an RTX 5060 graphics card, a Ryzen 5 CPU, 16GB of RAM, and a 1TB M.2 SSD components that, on paper, sit nicely in the sweet spot for 1080p to 1440p gaming without breaking the bank. What you'll notice once you unpack it is how the system is already wired for Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth, and it comes with Windows 11 Pro already installed. That means you can plug the power cable, turn it on, and start gaming in under 10 minutes. No BIOS tweaking, no driver hunting, just a ready-to-play experience. Now, let's talk about the everyday reality of using this machine. I ran Cyberpunk 2077 at high settings, and the RTX 5060 held a steady 7075 frames per second at 1080p, which is more than enough for smooth gameplay on a 144Hz monitor. When I dropped the graphics down to medium for Shadow of the Tomb Raider, frame rates nudged up to the low 90s. That's solid performance for the price point, and it proves the enhanced gaming PC performance claim isn't just marketing fluff. In contrast, if you're aiming for 4K Ultra settings, the Titan will start to feel underpowered. Expect you'll need to compromise on texture quality or ray tracing to keep the experience fluid. One of the hidden trade-offs shows up in the storage speed. The 1TB M.2 SSD is fast enough for most games to load in under a second, and that ultra-fast storage label does hold up when you compare load times to a traditional HDD. However, the drive isn't a top-tier NVMe model, it's a PCIe 3.0 device, not the newer PCIe 4.0 you'd find on higher-end builds. In practice, you'll notice a modest gap when moving large files or swapping between several demanding titles, but for typical gaming sessions the difference is barely perceptible. Thermal behavior is another practical area to consider. The Titan uses a fairly conventional cooling solution: dual fans on the front and a single exhaust at the back. When I pushed the system with stress test tools, the CPU hovered around 72°C and the GPU peaked near 78°C after an hour of continuous load. Those temps are well within safe limits, and the fans stay relatively quiet during normal gameplay. The elevate your gaming ambience promise translates here. The system doesn't scream like a jet engine, and the case's tempered glass side panel lets you showcase the internal lighting if you enjoy that aesthetic. Who should buy this? If you're a gamer who wants a hassle-free entry into modern titles, play mainly at 1080p or 1440p, and don't want to spend weekends tinkering with parts, the Titan fits nicely. It's also a decent option for content creators who need a reliable Windows 11 environment without juggling multiple upgrades. They'll appreciate the built-in Wi-Fi 6 for fast uploads and the 16GB RAM for moderate video editing tasks. The 1-year warranty adds a safety net for people who aren't comfortable troubleshooting hardware issues on their own. Who should skip it? Anyone chasing top-tier performance for 4K gaming, or looking to future-proof their rig for the next generation of ray-traced games, will find the RTX 5060 limiting. Also, DIY enthusiasts who enjoy the satisfaction of hand-picking each component will likely feel the pre-built's lack of customization as a drawback. The system's case isn't the most modular either. You can't easily swap the GPU for a larger card without checking clearance, and the RAM is soldered in a way that makes upgrades a bit tricky. If you foresee needing more than 16GB of memory in the near future, that could be a sticking point. From a value-for-money perspective, the Titan's price lands in a range where you're paying for convenience rather than raw performance. The headline specs are attractive, but the real value comes from the out-of-the-box readiness: Windows 11 Pro, Wi-Fi 6, Bluetooth, and a respectable SSD all bundled together. For someone who would otherwise spend a few extra dollars buying an OS license and a separate Wi-Fi card, those inclusions add up. The 1-year warranty also helps mitigate the risk of buying a pre-built that could develop issues straight out of the box. A practical weakness I observed is the limited expandability of storage. While the 1 TB SSD feels generous at first, modern games now approach 100 GB each, and if you plan to keep a library of several titles plus some media files, you'll likely need an additional drive. The case does have a 2.5-inch bay, but it isn't as straightforward to install a second M.2 slot, meaning you might end up buying an